Welcome back, guys. For this top 10, we're going to do something a little bit different. Since we've been on TV every week for the past year, we're going to take a look back at our favourite segments. And Star White. At number 10, we have Liam's Witcher retrospective.
I reckon this has to probably be one of the strongest retrospectives that we've done so far, because he just goes into such depth about the Polish politics and how Poland was pretty much put back on the map because of CD Projekt Red.
Probably the more interesting story of any of the games that we've done, like retrospectives or one-on-ones on as well.
Yeah, because he looks behind the game itself, like the actual developers themselves and what was going on in the country at the time and just things like that. It was fantastic.
How they pretty much saves of the country.
Yeah, pretty much.
Video games.
Right?
Yeah.
At number 9 is Uplay Lounge from E3.
I thought this was so cool. Like, we just walked in and everything, it was all lit up and there were people everywhere and there was that machine that made the mini version of me.
That you are currently holding at the moment.
It's so good, look at that! It's fucking, oh, it's awesome. I love it.
Yeah,
Are
you
jealous?
guys are great.
Look at
I'm
that.
loving
There it
watching
is.
this, just watching
There it
all the
is.
cool stuff you got to do. That's terrifying.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
really is. It's even more terrifying than the real version. At number 8 is Swordcraft.
You guys are fighting people with swords.
That's pretty much what it was. It was one of the first things we ever did. I think, Vince, you were saying episode 2.
I'm pretty sure it's episode 2.
Yep, so go to like some weird place in the city.
It was cold, it was dank. I
This is
lost my
pretty
wallet in
intense.
this scene. But it's
Like-
okay. And then I had a few mates that I chucked GoPros on and someone
get
got
your-
hit in the nuts here somewhere. Where is it?
Did you get your butt kicked?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I have no.
is
Yeah,
me in the
this is
Minotaur.
awesome.
Oh, okay.
I think I win. Hang on. So
Yep, there it is.
Up next is Worldwide Rumble.
So this was a little bit left of center compared to normal stuff we
Yeah.
do. Everyone you see here is pretty much everyone who works on the show in some form or another, just beating the living daylights out of each other.
In like a simulation of WWE wrestling.
Pretty
Yeah.
much, and I'm the first one out. There we go.
That sounds
there
better.
it is.
This is
Go
all
play
AI
Destiny,
bots.
mate. You'll be right. Walk it off. And then the big man Damien just taking out Disco Steve? Disco Dan.
Let's go Dan.
Disco Dan. Disco Steve was the other dude.
That's rigged. Should have won. At number 6 is my review of Brothers. So I put this review in mainly because it's a game I probably wouldn't have played if I wasn't looking for games to review. And just the experience and like the control scheme, I don't know if you know Lysander, but you control each brother with each analog stick, so you control them both at the same time.
That sounds difficult, but
It is, but you should check out my review because it's just a game I don't think I would have got round to if I wasn't doing this, which I'm kind of grateful for.
Yeah, the storyline's pretty touching as well.
Yeah.
that was cute. Has kind of pretty aesthetic to it.
At number 5 is Vince vs. Mirror's Edge at Bounce.
So this was probably one of the only Vince verses you didn't end up going to.
And I hate you for it because this looks like a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. We had to just kind of get our mind around that we had to be there for business, which is kind of a hard thing to get your head around when you're stuck in a foam pit surrounded by screaming children.
Especially since this is one of the first things
Yeah,
that
this
we've
was
done for the show.
really, really early in season 1 as well. We tried really hard to copy Mirror's Edge, but we didn't get very far. And there were some casualties. There were some casualties. Like my balls.
At number 4 is Vince vs. At the Whistler.
This was probably one of the most exciting Vince versus ones I did, and I know I lied before saying that Bounce was one of the ones you didn't come to, but you
Yeah.
didn't come to this one either.
I'm kind of glad I didn't go to this one.
It was a lot of fun. It was terrifying. Like, I was going to say at the start, but it was pretty terrifying all the way through.
Well, I actually had a chance to go to this sort of as a separate thing. I knew some of the guys that were running it, but kind of also glad I didn't because I am a wuss and
Look at
that looks kind of terrifying.
It was a lot of fun. I'm glad I went. I was drenched in sweat afterwards for running and pretty much pooping myself. There were people in the bushes and they would stay there and stare through the bushes at you as you go past, and then you hear Russell, you look back and you see their eyes. Oh, it was so messed up. It was a lot of fun.
At number 3 is Gamescom in Cologne, Germany. So you can see here the reason why Cologne is such Gamescom is such a spectacle. There's just a sea of people. This is like during one of the less busy days.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think the total was like somewhere over 350,000 people that went.
Far out.
But you know, it was like walking through a sea of just like people. I don't know. There's a bunch of games there though that like we didn't actually get to play at E3, but were playable at Gamescom. So it was actually a really good event. And
You had some pretty good loot there, didn't you?
Yeah, a bunch of loot, bunch of different games, bunch of interviews.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. At number 2 is E3 2013. So this was the first trade show that we actually went to where we did, you know, interviews and we were treated as media, which was a pretty cool feeling.
You only picked this one because I didn't go.
That was a plus, if anything.
Oh, well, I see how it is.
Yeah, there was like, I don't know, it was just a bunch of games. That's actually that's me, by the
That's
way.
you.
That doesn't look like
That's
you at
you.
all.
So that's me. That's my first
You
interview
look
I
kind
ever
of
did.
like Jamie Oliver.
Is that a compliment? I'm
Yeah,
not
I
sure.
don't know what that is.
I don't know.
And yeah, it was just an awesome experience. And then we only built upon that last year at E3 2014, and we got proper media passes.
Yeah,
and
that was great.
Yeah.
I'm really happy with E3 this year.
E3 is pretty good last year. So at number 1, we have Tokyo Game Show / being in Tokyo / Japan.
Number 1, yeah, it's so good.
I'm pretty sure we all had a great time when we first came here. That's Akihabara actually, where we played, you know, a bunch of different arcade games. We saw like a bunch of different statues.
Video Game Central there. The culture shock was just crazy.
There is no fathoming
Hey,
my
look at
hatred for you.
So I'm guessing that you want to go next year.
If that happens, I would.
Oh
count myself
God.
lucky.
Wow, there's my hat.
Yeah.
Look, I'm still wearing that. Wow, that really stinks.
Some things never change.
What are you saying? Mate.
All right, so now Vince, can you tell us what you're going to be doing?
Well, I tried my hardest to break down the Destiny universe. It's pretty hard. I thoroughly still enjoy this game. I have a lot of hours in it. Unfortunately,
You tried.
there's a lot of hours in
It's
there.
the thought that
There's
counts.
a lot of hours in there. Anyway,
than
I
you're
try
willing to,
my hardest to decipher what has been put out there as a very empty game, and I try to explain to everyone so people stop hating on it. Enjoy.
It's never gonna happen.
Yeah, I know. So Destiny has been out for a while now, and there's two main responses I've been hearing from players about the storyline. I found it pretty weak, and there was a storyline? As much as I loved this game, I too found the storyline and the amount of content in the base game to be lackluster. Having said that, players may have noticed that every now and then a small notification pops up on your screen regarding Grimoire cards. These can be accessed and read on BungieNet, and tell you a little bit extra about everything in this game. Although I'm always open to new concepts when it comes to games, I don't think this worked as well as Bungie had hoped. Activision invested $500 million into the creation and marketing of Destiny, and you think that these two massive game companies would have pulled their thumb out when it came to releasing the vanilla version of such an expensive project. When it comes to games that I absolutely love, I turn into a lore buff. I jumped on BungieNet to read the Grimoires almost straight away just to learn the true backstory of this new universe, and just as Bungie has done in the past, they've created an amazing untold story that people who are truly interested in will find and love. Though it's hard to get your head around how much there is on the website beyond the game's main story, everything is worth a read. I never realised how much more there is to discover until I had this chance to properly sit down and wander through the pages. I've come to realise that although the story still seems very unfinished, bland and full of holes, people need to understand that it was stated that this game has a 10-year lifespan, and the developers aren't going to give you everything all at once. Bungie did the exact same thing in the past when they released Halo 1. No one knew anything about anything, and over time, that cyborg in the green metal suit turned into the Master Chief, who had an incredibly rich backstory that needed to be fleshed out with the progression of the franchise. I think that the Destiny universe is going to be the same in that aspect, even though it was originally said that it was going to be nothing like Halo. But I'm not complaining. So what do we know so far? In the vaguely distant future, humanity was visited by a giant magic space ball called the Traveler, which granted us incredible technological advancements that pushed us into a golden age, allowing us to colonize other planets, but the Traveler had an enemy called the Darkness. The Darkness had pretty much wiped us out until the Traveler sacrificed herself to save humanity from complete and utter destruction, destroying the Darkness in the process. Hundreds of years passed, and survivors had built a safe haven city under the lifeless giant sphere in the sky. The darkness slowly fought its way back, and it didn't look like humanity was going to survive. In its dying breath, the Traveler created the Ghosts, who seek out those who can wield the Traveler's light as a weapon. That's where you come in, a Guardian. You are chosen and risen from the dead by a ghost to fight the darkness. So technically you're a zombie with the giant magic Spaceball's mystical powers, and you set out with your space-age version of Na'vi to kill the Covenant, the Flood, and the Prometheans, while having no questions answered whatsoever.
Well, you've been dead a long time, so you're gonna see a lot of things you won't understand.
I don't even have time to explain why I don't have time to explain.
But seriously, the Destiny universe has the opportunity to completely overshadow many other games, but in time. The hidden depth in Destiny's universe will show itself over the next few years, and come to challenge games such as Mass Effect and World of Warcraft. In my opinion, of course. Unique weapons, armor, vehicles, and even enemies each have their own special stories of how they came to be. Thorn, a unique hand cannon, is a perfect example of this. It was augmented through dark practices and was once a hero's weapon. Its jagged frame hints at a sinister truth, a powerful connection to the unutterable sorceries of the Flood, the Hive. The Hive. Though it's good having all the information accessible on BungieNet, it would be nice to be able to have the access to these slivers of lore via the game itself in some form. Looking at Mass Effect's codex, you can see a great example of how it could be done better.